That's going. So I just wanted to share my thoughts on this. There's this movie called Nefarious. Nefarious. Apparently, I guess it's based off this book, A Nefarious Plot. I could be wrong. I'm basing this off the movie. This came out about 2023, and I was watching it. I was thinking to myself like, why I didn't particularly like it, but I did love this actor who played as this person who possesses this man, this inmate, known as Nefarious or Nefariamus. And I found that a lot of other people agreed they loved his performance. And I thought to myself, like, why do we like his performance? And it actually trailed to another story called another movie, Christian movie called Shift, and it had another famous actor. His name is something McDonough. He played as the blind villain for a couple of movies, but the thing is, that movie was very promising, but it really led me to have this perception about like Christian movies that's like they have this big actor and all people can say is great things about the actor, but the stories like they praise the story, but they definitely praise the actor far more. And I just thought that was trailing to a bigger issue involving like Christian movies. Now, imagine we've gotten so much better. A lot of Christian movies have been in the past. Like if you weren't a Christian or if this movie wasn't a Christian, you judge it a little bit more harshly. And so it's like when I see these newer movies like Nefarious, that came out 3 years ago, 2023. Excuse me. Um, and even what the heck? What the one I was just talking about? Shift, which was another potentially good movie, but it was just kind of something about it was just kind of irked me. Now, imagine you, I just want to throw some shout outs like Ben Hur or Risen. Those are terribly great movies. Uh, I'm not super sure why that is. But this I want to kind of break this down why I think these movies are lacking. So when you see movies that don't really have like this dynamic about like famous actor here and then every all the Christian actors you used to know and love, and how there feels to be an imbalance, to me that just feels to be like too many of these. And maybe they've gotten better. Like, for instance, there's this dude, I forget his name. He's actually pretty famous. He played in like The Hobbit, and he's been in a lot of various projects, um, like Stranger Things. I mean, again, like The Hobbit. But I personally see him in a lot more Christian content nowadays. But the problem that bothers me the most about these Christian movies is just like there's too much stake in the game. There's not really enough accuracy. The story writing is a little poor. Like for instance, I'm watching this scene from Nefarious, and you got this character. I'm gonna have to try to find his name, but he's basically nefarious. And he's talking to this dude named James. And he's supposed to be the psychologist, right? So, as a big fan of psychology myself, I just see a few glaring things. But before I get to that point, I want to talk about more so just like how he's entertaining this person. So he's talking to him, and he's all snarky and sarcastic, and that's a big issue I do have seen. I do see and I have seen in Christian movies where I just don't like this snark. There's just this air of snark in movies. It's so sarcastic, it's so cheeky, and it's like oh, I have a joke. Like when I see, I forget what it's called. There used to be these group of two. It's a duo. I wouldn't call them Key and Peele, but they were like a Christian duo, and they like that works. There's even a movie, I mean, a series on Angel called The Promised Land. I've seen like from Angel Studios. It was supposed to be like this Christian version of The Office, and for some, and people love The Office, even though as a Christian, I don't know if you should love The Office. It's kind of has a lot of crazy elements to it, but it's very snarky, it's very cheeky, it's very just like oh, oh, okay, relax, David. Wow, and it's just too much of that. Initially, when I was learning about this stuff, I really liked it, but then I realized there's just a pattern. Like all of them are snarky, and it's corny to me. It's very corny because the character it doesn't exist in that space anymore. And maybe if it does, it exists for Christians to enjoy. But and I want to go back to this scene. So there's a scene. There's probably a few of them because they do James and this inmate he communicates to, and documents his findings and try to talk to him. They have a few of these conversations, but that's something I noticed, a snark. And another thing I noticed is that he's not necessarily just invested. He supposedly does this atheist person who's a psychologist, and he's talked to various people, but for some reason he's oddly like investigated. I mean, he's oddly interested, just overly invested. Sorry, that's the word. And overly, he's invested into this man's story. Now, as a person that I would presume, if I could presume what a psychologist would do to a person who is expressing this delusion of rambling, would if you see like Larson, a real girl, how I believe there's a female actress who plays as a psychologist. She doesn't really like engage him as much. She doesn't feed into his delusion, but she just kind of lets him kind of talk. Now, if you understand psychology, there's various ways of various modes or methodologies of performing therapy. There's like talk therapy. I forget it is. It's not histrionic. There's another one where basically you lead that person to make their own conclusions. You got the Freudian therapy where it's like let's figure it out from your childhood and stuff like that. And then they got different like dialectical behavior therapy, cognitive behavior therapy, and stuff like that. I'm not super sure if talk therapy and CBT is the same thing, but there's various modes of therapy to deal with various people and their specific conditions. And even then, not every therapist is the same or psychologist is the same. Some of them are emphasized more into certain areas to certain people. So presuming all the stuff is right, this dude specializes in like delusions and specializes in inmates and stuff like that. Why is he so interested in this man's story? It's one thing if you want to listen to him and just say, okay. But he's like talking to him back and forth. In psychology, there's this thing called countertransference, where if the person, the client you're communicating with, is kind of getting snippy with you, and you get bothered as a therapist or as a healthcare as a care is it a healthcare provider, caregiver. I'm not super sure of the term, but basically you're the person who's doling out the assistance. If you're affected and you start getting toe to toe with your therapist, that's an issue. I mean, toe to toe with your client, that's an issue because you're getting invested in something that doesn't technically, it shouldn't involve you. You're supposed to remain neutral. So when you're talking to this person, you shouldn't be like, if the dude says, me and my people are, we run a insidious plot and we're here to, rule the world. You're not supposed to be like, oh, what? Oh, that's crazy because you're losing. Oh my God. Oh, you're so stupid. It's like, no, he's supposed to be neutral. Okay. Tell me more. Oh, okay, that's interesting. Tell me more. What kind of plans do you guys have? Why do you think that? Why exactly are you interested in taking over war? Do you have a specific place that you want to take over? Now, mind you, even in this, from what I understand, with people who have delusions, strong delusions like that, you don't entertain those delusions. But again, I'm not a psychologist. I'm just a big fan of it. But they don't entertain them. They don't like. Yeah, I guess you are just man. Yeah, you're a demon. Oh wow. But no, it's just there's not a sense of neutrality that I see. There's this. It feels like he has personal skin in the game, despite being this atheist, right? So and he lets people, he lets the demon know eventually. I don't really believe in all that stuff. And he plays this person who's supposed to be this liberal person. Oh, I love and do whatever. But the thing is, he doesn't come off as a person who just is not Christian. Like there's this, and the actor who plays Nefarious is a person you don't see the actor, and I think that's my problem with like the overall theme of like Nefarious the movie is that you see the actor. I feel like if I see him in this scene, I'd see him in various scenes like him. I see the person who plays as Nefarious. Now, mind you, I think he was from Breaking Bad. I'm not super sure, but he's a famous actor, and he does his thing. He plays it extremely well. He plays this creature. He's just like resentful. He's hateful. He really he is just in the know. He's just like like James, we're gonna take over the place, and there's nothing you could really say to surprise me, and also we've been like we just have an incredible vast amount of knowledge, and it's just like he has this sense of like resentment, like I utterly despise these humans, but also he has all this wisdom, and so he just communicates with them because he knows like the person playing James, the psychologist who's interviewing him, is like, I know your game. He knows the other guy kind of thinks he has one over him, so he's just kind of like, you know, it's almost like he has he's in he is like entertaining the concept that he's in the hot seat. But you show him, you see him, he's not really sweating. He's just like, all right, I'll hear what you have to say, and he has some questions. He's like, hey, what's your name? My name is Nefariamus, but in this world, you can call me Nefarious. I'm pronounced as more so than Nefarious. And then he just kind of like, they do this back and forth. But I just seen like, it's just, it's so, and mind you, it's not just like the voice, it's like the ticks. He got these ticks in his face, and like it's just he's stressing, like, I just like all the, like, it's stuff that pops up like with stress and stuff, like this is a demon manifesting, but it's affecting the host body in the form of like ticks and nervous sensations and stuff like that. And like but like under all this disorder, this humanly disorder is a creature that's like communicated, and it's like that, it's just so like in depth that I really appreciate. And then just see that compared to like just this one-dimensional character of James. Now don't get me wrong, I'm sorry to criticize the artist, the actor who plays as James. I am not an actor. I don't know what acting would do, but I just see it as a consumer, and I just cringe a little bit because you see it's like night and day. And the same thing I seen from Switch. I think it's Neil McDonough. I seen him, just it the acting was night and day. And the thing is that the movie Switch, even though I think it felt like it was very hollow, it really should have. In fact, I think that same dude from who played in The Hobbit was in there as a side character. Like they could have done so much more, and they just didn't. It's all, I think that's what bothers me the most about like some indie projects, or like it's not indie projects, it's like GoFundMe projects where they have like media, like movies and stuff like that. It's always like trying to sell you this idea of potential, but then falling short and just saying, hey, here's this potential I was telling you about. It's like, no, potential means I get a lot more of what you're inferring, like. And then the same, this is just what I get from these Christian movies that are trying to be ambitious, but they kind of fall flat on their face. They give you the Christian ending. And I'm not saying that I like the fact that it ended well. I like the fact that this nefarious person was just like, he was scary. Like I would love to have more Christian content where it's humans dealing with the enemies of Christians. And but I just wish the integrity, the accuracy was a bit more refined on the Christian actors' parts, because there's too much of you popping out in these characters. So if your character is like, this person who just doesn't care, you need to play that person who doesn't care. And I'm not saying that like be an atheist for the sake of being an atheist. Like for instance, I have to watch this movie, but Shia LaBeouf played this. He played a Christian in Fury, and one of the things he does in method acting is he really embodies these characters. And when people say, "Oh wow, these are great characters," it's like you get very personal with these characters, and so it bothers me whenever I see Christians play atheists, quote unquote, but they're not atheists. They don't embody the mentality of atheists. They don't. I mean, imagine just the mentality is just like they don't have enough, like the basis. I don't have enough evidence to believe there is a God. By that basis, anything associated with God should kind of be pointless, kind of meaningless. So it's like, on that basis, imagine he was kind of, later on he was talking about his liberal talking points and stuff like that. Like, this is a Christian film and it's probably right leaning, so it's probably gonna, I'm not gonna say demonize, but basically not give a good taste in the mouth for anybody who's not a conservative, right leaning Christian person. And it's just like, it's so flat, it's so one dimensional. Because it just spouts out all the leftist talking points, and love is love, and I'm not trying to do this, and it's just like it doesn't feel real. And that's probably my biggest issue. It doesn't feel real. I really wish When I see movies like Ben Hur, heck, I even throw in like Bruce Almighty, Evan Almighty. These are characters, and you can tell they're characters. Like yes, all typecasting aside, you can tell these people play characters, even if they are like oh, this is Steve Carell, and even Steve Carell in like what I believe is Crazy Stupid Love play. I think it was him. He played as a divorcee guy. He really didn't play as Michael Scott from The Office. Like they play these different characters and they approach their characters differently. So I just wish whenever I see, like, again, as a Christian, I have a certain bias to lean toward, like, oh, I like these Christian movies because it affirms my beliefs. But at the same time, like, I like movies, I like stories, and, like, get into these stories, you just you can't fully invest into these stories without the characters, investing in these characters within the story as well. And that's kind of like my problem with some of these stories. Like for instance, Woodline. Woodline was great, but the person who played is in there, like the same guy who plays as the Hobbit. Again, I keep mentioning him. I see him all the time, but like he plays a pretty good character, But I mean, he plays as a regular person, like a coach, and a coach who's inspirational Christian, like if you play as a Christian, you can play as the same person basically. And I'm not trying not to insult the guy because the dude's actually a good actor, but it's just here's another one. Uh, Jamie Foxx when he played Ray. If you can tell, and mind you, he spent time with Ray Charles at the time to the point where even his own siblings was like, "Yo, that's pops right there. That's Ray," you know. And the thing is that like even then for him, he had to distance himself from Ray Charles himself. I forget he had a personal reason. It was maybe not to get too close to him, but like he knew how to mimic the facial expressions, the behaviorisms, and this is like all these nuances you see that like make up Ray Charles. You can see that in Jamie Foxx's performance. And the thing is that you don't see that in a lot of Christian acting, but you did see it in Nefarious with the dude who played as the demon possessed man. And that's it's just all these small things that you notice, and it's like, oh, but again, as a consumer, I pay attention to these things, and the thing is just like they're like, "Oh, you're not an actor, you don't know." I don't care. I pay money. I watch movies. I enjoy movies, and when something seems off, it kind of throws me off. I can't hop and suspend my disbelief if I know that certain aspects of this just doesn't feel genuine, you know. So that's all I got. I'm just complaining about it, but that's what I got for the movie Nefarious. All right, that's it. Bye.